Hello, this is Landon, and this is my life expectancy to GDP project. In this project, I basically take a very large data set from the World Health Organization that I found from Kaggle, which goes over almost every country on Earth, their their status, their life expectancy, and their GDP from the years 2000 to 2015. And I'm going to find the correlation between life expectancy to GDP, and I'm also going to make a prediction or a projection for the life expectancy of Vietnam for 2025 to see if it actually is accurate. So yeah, let's get into it. We have a data set that's around 3,000 big, so it's a lot of data to go through here. But the first thing I want to draw attention to is these columns. So we have the country, year, status, life expectancy, and GDP. And the first thing I do with this is I find the average and median GDP. So the average is much higher than the GDP. This would suggest that the wealthiest countries with the most GDP are pulling everybody else up, everybody else's GDP up. And then we go into the average life expectancy versus median life expectancy. Now these two are around the same, 69.22 to 72.1, really only about like 3 years off. If anything, it suggests that the countries with the lowest life expectancy pull the average down a little bit, but it's very much negligible. Well, maybe not negligible, but it's not that big of a difference. And then we have the correlation. This is the actual correlation number between life expectancy to GDP. Now, if the correlation is 1, that means they are perfectly correlated. If as much as the GDP goes up, the life expectancy goes up, which that wouldn't make any sense, so it's obviously not going to be that highly correlated. I was initially thinking it would be around 0.6 or 0.7, but the actual number is 0.429, which is a little bit weaker than I thought. But it does make sense because if 1 is an exact correlation, then 4 is still somewhat correlated. It's a little bit weaker than I thought. And if it was 0, that means there's no correlation to be found at all, which is also probably never going to happen. But yeah, so it's 0.4. And then here we have this very insightful graph. All of the triangles are the life expectancies of every country, and then the yellow line is the GDP going up. Or rather, the yellow line is the trend line. Sorry, for life expectancy to GDP. So at the very tail here, you have like the little like lower life expectancies. And you have some countries with low GDP that have very high life expectancies. And then you go forward, you have around the same life expectancy here. And as the GDP goes up and up and up, it usually is staying around like 75, 78. There are definitely more occurrences of the higher life expectancy. But you really only see the lower life expectancy around like under 25k GDP countries. And then the R squared value, which is essentially what percentage of the GDP actually is affecting the life expectancy. So really only 18.4 is what that number represents. Only 18.4% of the GDP really affects the life expectancy all that much. So yeah, that's this section done with. We have some inferences. This is basically just going over everything I just said. If you want to take the time to read this, you can pause the video, of course. And you have the projections. So this is my projection for Vietnam. This is going off data from 2000 to 2015. So we can predict it using a slope and intercept equation, basically. But I won't go too heavy into the math there. It's not that complicated. But the World Health Organization states that in 2021 the average life expectancy in Vietnam is 73.8. Macro trends states that in 2025, this year, the life expectancy is 76, basically. And my projection was 77.8. So it's around like almost 2 years off, but it's still very close to my projections. This is going off of 2000 to 2015, like I said. So there were around 9 to 10 years that I didn't have for the projections. So I think this is a very, very good, very accurate projection from what I was given. And yeah, that is the project. Thank you very much for watching.